Oh hello, here we are on Hallows Eve, the most creepy, scary and haunting day of the year. Time for all the treats, time for all the tricks. But did you know that some of the most scariest, dark and terrifying tricks that haunt us each and every day are from within our own shadow? And on this dark and mysterious night, I present you with terrifying tales from within your shadow self. You're right, my name is Daz and welcome to Stories for the Subconscious, where I want to help people to reprogram their subconscious minds so that they can basically reprogram their life for the better. Today, in this spooky, macabre edition, we're going to be looking at the shadow and how it controls almost our every aspect in life. And stick around until the end because I want to show you how to become the puppeteer of the shadow instead of being the puppet under control of the shadow. So first we're going to be looking at saying hello to your shadow. So I want you to close your eyes and take a deep breath and allow yourself to relax. Imagine you are standing in front of a mirror, gazing at your reflection. This mirror doesn't just show your outer appearance, it reveals parts of you that are hidden, parts you may not fully understand yet. This is your shadow self, the collection of hidden aspects, emotions and beliefs you've been repressing and denying over time. But the shadow is not your enemy. It's a part of you that emerged to help you survive difficult experiences. It's made up of your unprocessed emotions and unresolved pain, and it protects you in more ways than you might think. It protects you in ways that might not serve you today, or so it thinks. So I want you to greet this shadow with compassion and curiosity, because it'll teach you about your inner world. So I want to look at a part of the shadow now, which is limiting beliefs and self-sabotaging. I want you to take a moment to explore the beliefs that your shadow holds. And these limiting beliefs are the stories that have shaped your self-image over time. And they might sound like, I'm not good enough, or I'm not smart enough, I don't deserve happiness, I'll never be able to achieve my dreams. Stuff like that. We've all heard it, haven't we? And these beliefs will likely form during moments of pain or rejection in your life. And your shadow holds on to them as sort of like a shield, preventing you from taking risks that could lead to sort of failure or rejection, or so it thinks. But by keeping these beliefs alive, your shadow feels it's protecting you from disappointment or hurt. And when we're trying to overcome our limitations and achieve success, our shadow can be a major obstacle in our life. We may experience fear of failure, imposter syndrome, or unresolved emotions that can hinder our progress. For instance, if you imagine someone who's always dreamed of starting their own business, they might be held back from sort of fears of taking risks or being seen as unsuccessful. Or you've got another person might feel like they don't deserve to be in a certain profession or a certain relationship. And because of this negative self-talk and self-doubt, it holds us back, because we all have these inner critics that can paralyse us and make us sort of play it safe rather than taking them bold actions towards our goals and our successes. And often it's these very fears and doubts that can prevent us from taking that leap and pursuing our passions. When we're trying to make a change in our life, whether it's something like starting a new habit, or ending a toxic relationship, or switching careers. Our shadows can be the loudest voices in our heads, telling us that we're not good enough, or we're not smart enough, or we're making a huge mistake. Our shadows also link to self-sabotage as well, and these actions are often subtle but come in forms of like procrastination, fear of failure, perfectionism. For instance, have you ever been on a diet and it's going really well and your body's going how you imagine it to be, your exercise and routine's going well, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere you just start self-sabotaging yourself? Yeah, you don't start doing the exercises, you start reaching for the biscuit tin, or you start gulping down junk food and just pushing everything aside. You know, that's self-sabotage, and the shadow can make us unconsciously act in ways that's going to hold us back, and rooted in all fears and pain, this makes us hesitate or avoid taking positive steps towards our goal or towards what we want to do. It's amazing how these unaddressed emotions and thoughts can weigh us down and keep us sort of stuck in these patterns of self-doubt and fear. But what if we could confront these shadows and instead use them to fuel our growth and empowerment? Yeah, the shadow and self-sabotage and limiting beliefs are all deeply intertwined more than we know. The shadow self, it stores the parts of us that felt sort of vulnerable or rejected in the past, and it's just trying to prevent the similar pain in the future. You know, to do this, it whispers limiting beliefs inside your mind, which in turn lead to self-sabotaging behaviours. So when you're about to take that risk or try something new or step into a greater version of yourself, your shadow may be holding you back by stirring up these beliefs and fears. So I want you to understand that the link is the first step towards breaking free. Recognising that self-sabotage and limiting beliefs are not your true self, but instead parts of your shadow, and this can empower you to take control and shift towards a more empowering mindset for yourself. One of the most influential psychological theories that explore the concept of the shadow work is called Carl Jung. You may have heard of him. And he believed that our shadows contain the parts of our lives that we've rejected and repressed and put down. And that integrating these parts is essential for personal growth and wholeness. When we bring our shadows to the light, we can develop a more authentic sense of self, and our true potential can emerge. I've seen this play out in my own life loads of times, where I used to struggle with self-doubt, or maybe I've done people pleasing. But when I started to confront these insecurities and vulnerabilities, I began to realise that they were just actually strengths in disguise. My self-doubt was a signal that I needed to be more compassionate and gentle with myself, rather than trying to prove myself to others and please others. And by the need to please others, it was sort of a cry for connection and belonging, rather than an actual weakness of my own. And it got the same for you as well. I don't know if have you seen the film Me, Myself and Irene with Jim Carrey in? It's funny, but if you sort of break it down, it's actually, that he's repressed his shadow for so long and pushed down them voices and stuff like that, and not dealt with his fears and insecurities, that it's ended up exploding and created this other character called Hank, this sort of alter ego version of him, which is just a complete arsehole. But because he's repressed all this darkness and all the other side down, do you know what I mean, and not dealt with it properly, it's created that. And that's what the shadow can do. If you keep repressing it and pushing it down and ignoring it for too long, it's going to come up in ways you can't imagine, whether it's in relationships or in a workplace or in your personal life. So instead of repressing it, we're going to look at some solutions for overcoming the shadow's influence. So here are some steps to transform the shadow's influence and make sure that you're in charge of the shadow and not vice versa. So I want you to practice self-compassion. Thank your shadow self. Thank your shadow self for trying to protect you. Acknowledge that its intentions were rooted in survival. Treat yourself with kindness, especially when you recognise moments of self-sabotage or limiting beliefs, and replace that self-criticism with understanding and recognising that these patterns served the purpose in the past but no longer define who you are today. So another thing we can look at is to challenge the limiting beliefs. Write down the beliefs that arise from your shadow self. Challenge each belief by asking, is this true? And where the fuck did this belief come from? And does it reflect who you are now? Take each limiting belief and reframe it in a way that empowers you. For example, replace "I'm not good enough" with "I am growing and learning every day," and etc. So you get what I mean. Another way is to engage in shadow work exercises. Use journaling and mindfulness and meditation, or even talking therapy to regularly connect with your shadow self. I know there's some therapists out there what deal in shadow and shadow work, and there's also a lot of stuff on YouTube and online that shows you the steps of how to deal with your shadow and how to embrace the shadow work. So it might be worth looking at, folks. Regularly connect with your shadow and bring curiosity to the feelings it stirs up, and learn how to identify triggers for self-sabotage and the limiting beliefs. The more you explore your shadow, the less control it will have over your actions. And by facing it directly, you can transform it from an obstacle to a source of strength. Another thing we can do is visualize integrating your shadow self. Imagine that your shadow self is standing right beside you now. Not as a threat, but as a wise guide. And envision embracing it and accepting it as part of your journey. See it merging with you, bringing wholeness, and by doing so you can replace the limiting beliefs with empowering truths and align your true self. And this will make you ready to embrace life's challenges and resilience. Well, that's it for the end of this spooky edition video, and check out either of these two videos that YouTube has suggested for you. And that's it for this week's story, folks, and I hope you found value in the content once again. And if you have, please like, share and subscribe, as it helps the stories to thrive, stay alive and get into that subconscious mind. Until next time.